Hey guys, Tom here. Recently we painted this hallway, and as part of that we changed kind of a color palette. We had ivory outlets and wall plates. We changed color palette to blue gray, so now we have to change this to white. It's a real simple project. I have a single here, I have a 5 gang over there, but it's going to be the same thing. So let's get started. But the first thing we need to do is turn off the power. So obviously to start an outlet project, you got to take the wall plate off. They come off real easy. I'm not saving the screws because I'm just changing the color, but ordinarily you'd want to put your screws in a safe place so you can find them to put the plates back on when you're done. And then the most important thing, I know I turned the power off, but I want to go back in there and make sure, double check that the power's off, that this is a safe switch to work on. I have a little tester on there. If it was no good, a red light would go on, it would beep. And I'm not satisfied with that. I am actually going to additionally check with this tester by, touching the 2 leads to the terminal, see if there's power. And this switch turned out to be safe because I've turned the power off and checked it about 47 times at this point. Now, when you're doing this, the important thing to remember, and I'm going to say this a couple times, is you don't necessarily have to know all the science and technicality about electricity and switches and whatnot. I mean, it's good that if you have that knowledge, but the main thing to remember is take the switch apart, take the wires apart, and then you're just going to want to put them back the same way you found them. Ordinarily, in electricity, the rule of thumb is black on brass, white on silver, green on ground. Now, this switch has 2 black leads and 2 brass screws. It's a single pole switch, so the current is going through. You have a hot wire, a neutral wire, and a ground wire. This switch doesn't have a ground wire on it, but you're going to see we're going to correct this right now. I'm digging in here. I'm finding the ground wires that run in the circuit. And what I'm going to do, because my new switches do have grounding terminals on them, so I am just going to pigtail another short piece of wire from this grounding circuit and then go back and hook it onto my switch. So not only is the switch grounded and the box grounded, now the switch will be grounded, if that makes any sense to you. And again, if this doesn't make sense to you and this is not a project you want to tackle, even if you start it and you realize, hey, this is a little more than I can handle, even with watching this video, by all means, call yourself a licensed and insured electrician. He'll get you all squared away, or she will get you all squared away in no time. So tuck the wires back there gently. Another thing, you don't want to be mashing wires back in the box. Just tuck them back. And then this is new wire, so I got to just curl it over, and I'm going to hook it right onto the switch. Again, it's the green terminal on the switch is the ground. Black on brass, white on silver, green on ground is the general rule of thumb. And another thing, when you're hooking your wires onto your switches, hook them so they wrap clockwise or to the right. So when you're tightening the wire onto the terminal and not splaying it out by going against the grain. I'm not going to say sometimes I haven't done it where I've wrapped the wire the wrong way, but generally speaking, you want to put it on to the right. And again, you can see I had one wire pushed up towards the top of the box, and then I had the other wire pushed to the bottom of the box. That's because that's the way I took them off. I took the top wire off the top terminal and the bottom wire off the bottom terminal, and that's how I'm putting them back. It's really simple. Put things back the way you've taken them off. It's super simple on a single pole switch like this because you don't have a lot to worry about, but it can get confusing if you have multiple gang boxes when you're working with switches and outlets and whatnot. Now again, an optional thing, I tape around the box. That's because I'm working with a metal box. Not totally necessary. It's just, it's belt and suspenders type of thinking. If the switch should happen to come loose and hit the side of the box, it could short itself out or trip the breaker or whatever, but I've never had it happen, but it's just a habit I've gotten into. And then just like that, you're done. So the same rules are going to apply to this 5-gang switch. You just have to do it a lot more times. And I'm going to do it, this can get very confusing, so I'm going to do it one switch at a time so I don't mess up my wires. Let's get at it. Just like before, the first step is taking the plate off, and you're going to have 2 screws for every gang number of things you have, 10 screws. It actually took me a while to get these all off. And then another the very important thing, check each switch to make sure you're working safely. There's no current going through the box. Now, the first switch to the left is, I found out a little bit into it that it was a 3-way switch. Generally, I would just go from left to right and hook them all up. But the first switch there on the left is a 3-way switch, which we'll get into in a little bit. So I just decided to start at the second one and go 2, 3, 4, 5, and hook them all together that way. Now, these are all hooked together on a single loop. So the hot wire, or what's taking the current, is hooked together. I mean, how can I explain this? You don't have a single wire going to each switch. It's one wire that's looped around the terminal in each switch. It's like a continuous wire. So it can be a little easier for some. I mean, I found it to be easy. So you just kind of unloosen it, back to screw off the switch, and then tighten it back up again. It really goes pretty quickly once you have it figured out. But again, you're just putting the new switch in the way you've taken the old switch out. Rule of thumb, just knock that into your head, and doing this electrical work is really not that difficult. And it applies to it's the green, ground, black, brass, white, silver. When in doubt, that's just remember that, and generally you'll be in good shape. But you never know. Like I find with any home project, you think it's going to go easy until you get into it, and then you kind of have to tap dance a little bit and just kind of go with what you find in there. But I'm going to pound this into the ground again. Put the wires on the new switch the way you took them off the old switch, and I would say 99 times out of 100, you're going to be in good shape. So as we're finishing up these last couple of switches, this would be a great time. Let me know in the comments below, what kind of, home improvement projects do you have going on? It's the winter time. Everybody's cooped up at home between the weather, the lockdowns. You go to the home improvement center, it's crazy in there. You see all kinds of people in there because they have nothing else to do. So everybody's working on home improvement projects. What are you doing at your house during this winter to get you through until we can get back outside again and start living our lives? Let me know in the comments. Or What kind of projects would you like to see coming up here on the HomeCraft Chronicles? Tell me anything you got going on around your house. I'd love to hear from you. So I am done. I got all the switches in, and it was really easy. It was just a matter of taking the old switch out, putting the new switch in, sorting the wires. That's the main thing. Just the easiest way to describe it is take the wires out and put them back in the same configuration on the switch. The only little hiccup was on this 5 gang, I had a 3-way switch that controls the fan in the living room. There's a switch here and there's a switch over there. And I guess the easiest way to describe it is the regular switch that I use has 2 terminals on it. It's called a single pole switch. And basically what that does, it just turns off and opens and closes the circuit to allow power to go to the light. On the other hand, a 3-way switch has an extra terminal and there's an extra wire in the box that basically, for a better way to put it, it toggles the power between this switch and that switch. So you can turn it on and off from either end, turn it on here, off there, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. Either configuration is going to work. But when in doubt, as you saw what I did, I took the switches out and just put them right back in the same way I found them. Another thing that made it easy on here, the power for this whole box came from a single wire. That's why you saw it was looped instead of the single curl going onto the terminal. But that doesn't matter. However you find your switch, just make sure you put the switch back in the way you took the old switch out. So now I have white switches and white plates to go with our newly painted grayish blue wall, and everything looks great. This switch even has a little light on it so you can see it in the dark. But the main thing you have to remember is make sure your power is off when you do this. You saw me checked it once, checked it twice, and then I checked it again, which with every switch I took out. So I knew it was safe. But if you have any doubts, by all means, hire a licensed electrician to help you out. So that's it for this. If you like this kind of project, please subscribe to the HomeCraft Chronicles. You see electricity, painting, garden projects. There's something for everybody. If you like working on your house, but you're just not sure what to do, come on back, check us out time and again, and I'm sure we'll have something to help you out. So I'm off. Until I see you next time, remember, take care of yourself and your home. I'll talk to you real soon.